What is this?
All right. So again, good afternoon, everyone. It's 12:02. So let's get started. So I'm gonna share my screen, and so let me give a brief background to why we're doing this session. So as you know, there's a lot going on out there, and as we are opening more and more schools in our state, some plans are revised, some plans are changed, and at the high school level. So we are going to talk about first what is coming in the second semester in terms of academics, as well as you know, another hot topic is sports, winter sports, spring sports. So we have Mr. Wagner, our athletic director. So we're going to also talk about our plans in the second semester about the athletics. And hopefully after that, if there's any part that you know we did not touch, so you can ask questions and we'll go from there. Just give me 1 second. All right, sorry about that. So we're about to start. Get a couple more students and parents coming in. Okay. All right, so again, the agenda for today is going to be our spring semester plans, academic plans, and then we'll dive into winter sports, a sports program, and then your questions and feedback after that. So let's get started for the spring plans. First of all, today actually is the first day of the second semester, and student schedules have changed. As you know, we're basically running the second half with the brand new classes for the most part, and you will see, our students will see brand new classes in their schedule. So most of these classes are going to be again semester long and live classes. Couple new additions for the second semester based on the feedback we received from teachers and students. In the second semester, we are going to have a little bit more live class sessions in the afternoon, especially. You will see the core classes will have regular sessions in the morning, as well as one more additional live sessions in the afternoon every other day. And this is with the purpose, again, ideally, our students are supposed to see two classes back to back each day because these classes are double period because they're supposed to be done in one semester. So to kind of fulfill this specific requirement, we are basically adding two more live classes for these sessions. So that's number one. The second edition in the second semester, we are going to be starting our classes, our day with 8:30 mentorship sessions. So scholars are going to be joining classes starting at 8:30. They're starting the old concept of advisory. We call it this year mentorship. So they join in, and we have a nice curriculum built by teachers. So basically, it's a mini practical lessons and also meet and greet sessions. And students are going to be joining those sessions at 8:30 for 15 minutes every day, except Wednesday. So this is again in a nutshell two main differences in the spring schedule, and you will see they are reflected in Scholar schedule. You can check with your son and daughter, and you will see that. So the other hot topic, and I've heard some questions, the parents are also concerned or asking questions. The New York State regions, as you know, they are canceled in the winter. And so far, we haven't heard anything in terms of June, but it's, I would say, more than likely they will not take place based on what we have seen in the first half of the school year. So we are basically expecting these regions not to take place. But again, as soon as we hear something officially, we are going to let our parents and our students know. As of today, we're basically planning those regional exams are going to take place. But anything changes, as soon as we get any update from New York State Education Department, we are going to notify our scholars and parents again. One important point, and I'm going to also include this in February newsletter. Some of our scholars are working; they plan to work, which is great. I think this working experience is really valuable. I encourage, especially our juniors and seniors, to work part time and specifically outside of the school hours. So this came to my attention earlier today that we have at least one student who is planning to have all day training today and tomorrow. So this is again, we're in contact with the parent and the scholar. This is legally in New York State. If you have school during the school hours, no employer can employ, just hire the students, and they cannot work during the school hours. So I just want to make sure that I update all of our parents about that, so everyone knows. Again, I encourage our scholars to work, but make sure that you prioritize your classes, especially during the school hours. This is the third important point that we would like to cover. And the next item is in-person instruction. Especially some schools are changing their plans and they're bringing students back either in hybrid model or just bringing the full, opening the class, opening the entire school. As you know, in the high school, we have started with online since September. And although we have brought in some students in the first semester at a limited number of students, um, we haven't really opened our door for the entire high school population because of what's going on out there. And in the second semester, our plans are not going to be any different. Right now, we're online. There is no student in the building. After the first 2 weeks, after the winter break, February break, we are, again, we're going to start allowing some students, especially students, who need additional support in person instruction into the building, but that's again based on what is out there and what's going on, and intensity of COVID-19 timeline. But as far as the high school model concerned, we do not have any change. We are still online. We do not adapt any hybrid or full in-person session. It's still fully online, but we do accept students specifically based on need, just like we did in the first semester. So that is the plan in terms of the second semester for the remainder of the school year. So the final item again, these are hot topics. The one that we've been talking about again, I've been getting a lot of questions, is graduation plans. There's nothing final about this at the moment, but we're very optimistic in terms of by the time we get this graduation time, June, end of June, I think things are going to be much better, and we're planning either a traditional or to the least we're going to have something similar to last year, but we're not planning to delay the graduation. So as is, it's going to be the at the end of June as we have it in our calendar. So there will be no change about the graduation plans. And then we're gonna update our parents and especially seniors as we get closer to this date. So these are five key topics in terms of academics. Before I go to the next slide, I'm just going to stop here and ask you if you have any questions about any of these 5 topics or anything related to academics. Okay. So let's transition to high school winter sports. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Wagner to give us some updates about our county regulations as well as SANY practices and the current updates, and then we'll go from there. Mr. Wagner?
Mr. Wagner, you're muted.
So basically, the governor came out a couple of weeks ago and gave the okay for winter sports starting on February 1st. But that was based on getting approval from the county health departments. I'll talk mostly about Herkimer County, where our building lies, our high school building lies. And basically, Herkimer County came out with some guidance not allowing any games or travel at this point until the infection rate gets to a certain number. So we're always looking at that number. So knowing how important athletics are to our scholar athletes and also their social and emotional health, moving on to practices, I wrote up a proposal to Dr. Hyali, our superintendent, saying that though Herkimer County is not allowing us at this point to play any games or travel to any games or host any games here at our new facility and our new gym for the winter season, basketball and volleyball, I was making a recommendation that we could start some in-house preseason workouts. I heard from Dr. Hyali this morning that he is certainly feeling what our winter sport athletes are feeling and is certainly in favor of what they want to do. But unfortunately, at this time, he wants to hold off on starting any in-house preseason workouts or practices at this time. And so we are right now on pause until hopefully the numbers come down a little bit in the next couple of weeks. So the situation really is still very fluid, and hopefully things will change in the next week or two in terms of bringing our basketball players and our volleyball players back into the building. When they do come back into the building, we will follow New York State PHSAA protocol in terms of safety protocols, where we temperature screen. The scholar athletes will fill out a contact tracing form. They will all be wearing masks and will be grouped in pods and following those type of protocols. So that's really all I have for you in terms of attentive sports schedule. Again, still very fluid, but we're hoping for the best that things get better. Does anybody have any questions regarding at least high school sports, Herkimer County?
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Wagner. So basically, we are juggling between 2 counties because they have different regulations, the different expectations. So far, again, we're trying to find our way to, again, rescue our students from this isolation, still bring them into the building in a safe way. But at the moment, based on our district's policies, we're on pause, at least for the next couple of weeks. Hopefully numbers are going to go down, as Mr. Wagner said, so we could bring our scholars, at least they can start the practices. But at the moment, we are not taking any action, either it's practice or scheduling any game. Is there any questions in terms of winter sports, spring sports, sports in general? It's pretty easy crowd so far, so we don't have any questions. So actually, in the next session, so we are basically asking you in terms of your feedback, in terms of your questions. So I'm just going to stop sharing and just open it up to anyone who has any questions, related to anything, academic, sports, or in general. So we could get some feedback from you and hopefully, clarify certain points if you have any questions.
Let's say per se, if the regions were to get canceled, would all like the double classes only go back to being one class?
Well, if the regions got canceled, just like in the first semester, that is going to be basically you will be waived, just like in last year or in the first semester. Those classes will, the region requirements will be waived, so you don't need to, you don't need to pass the regions. You don't need to take the regions again. So they are treating our classes as double period classes completed in one semester, Jana.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Lee, we received one question from you based on the survey. So basically, COVID test for the scholar athletes. So if we happen to start our practices in the building, just like we do offer it to middle school and elementary school, we're going to also test, again, based on the regulations at that time, test our scholars. But at the moment, we're just talking about the current situation. But if it changes in the next 2 weeks, if they just remove the requirement, the testing requirements, obviously we don't need to do it. But if we have to, we will, just to let you know.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So there's one question. What is the purpose of mentorship class? Does anyone would like to pick up this question? Mrs. Grader, Ms. Swankat?
I can say a little bit about it. The mentorship class is another way for you to connect with your mentor teacher. This is a hard year because you don't have, as much connection with your teachers and your friends and the community as you would normally. So we thought of this, meeting with your mentor group, the class and the teacher every day in the morning. Number one, it gets you awake, gets you ready for your day. You get to start off on a positive note because your classes are all going to be really interactive. And I mean, they're just going to be like short little lessons, like 10, 15-minute little lessons about a variety of different things that'll help like your management, time, organization, academics, your emotional health and wellness. And it just gives you and the other students a time to connect before school. I mean, it would almost be, as if you guys are talking about what's going on with you in the morning before classes. So it really gives you a time to connect with everybody. And also, we can check in with you. So your mentor will also check your grades and most likely either at the beginning of the week or the end of the week, check in with you individually during that time to talk about like, hey, don't forget to turn your assignment in for this class, or you're doing really great in these classes, to keep track of you a little bit closer and give you time to ask any questions and things like that. So we have some really great things planned for each week. So I think you'll go through and see each week is planned out for you to discuss interesting material and things that will help you in your future and in the rest of your school career.
Another question is there any update on Turkish class at this point?
The languages, just like the ZED, are still going to be asynchronous classes. So you are registered for Turkish 3, and Mr. Koku will get that updated list probably tomorrow once the system syncs tonight. And he'll send out a Google invite for you.
And I highly encourage you guys, if you are planning for Advanced Regions diploma, make sure that you take your third language course, whether it's Spanish or Turkish. That is going to be, as you know, requirements in New York State. So this is a really, one opportunity for you. You can just take that, third credit easily in the second semester. So, any other question? Hello, Aiden.
Hello.
So I would like to also, I'm also a parent, but I'd like to hear more parent perspective in terms of what your expectations in the second semester overall from the school. And we all have been experiencing this together in different roles. So what is your expectation from the school?
Hi, this is Jana, Jackson's mom. So I have to say, I've been really impressed with the whole transition to virtual school. I feel like at least my son's mentor, I get a text message every week with an update. I feel like he's prepared and engaged. He knows what's going on. So I guess my expectation would be the same. I think it's great that you're doing the mentorship in the morning as a touch base for the kids to kind of start their day. I'm sure not all the kids are probably happy about the 8:30, but there's something to be said about starting on that kind of note and then going into your classes. So for me, as a parent, I can't really complain. I mean, I've really been impressed overall with how you guys have managed it and been able to keep the kids engaged, at least from my son's perspective. So thank you for everything.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ernak, for the feedback. And yes, I agree. I think there's so much going on. So hopefully with some changes based on the feedback, it's going to make it a little better for our scholars and our parents. But thank you very much for the feedback.
I kind of did have one question, not really a question, just, well, I guess it is. With the way that you've done this school year, separated into semesters versus quarters, is that something that you would consider doing going forward, like even once they start going back to in-person school, or is that really just something that you've utilized to get you through this kind of virtual learning?
It's a great question. So we are actively discussing these options. So the two main, options right now, it kind of like surfaced out during this pandemic, is number one, online classes. It kind of opened, wide open door for great opportunities, whether it's an AP class, advanced classes, or some of these classes that our students are interested. So we're planning to offer more online classes. As per the semester long classes, yes, we do plan to offer it, but that class is more like in traditional way. In other words, If we're going to offer a class in one semester, it should be double period in person, double period, so students get to see their teachers. So hopefully, learn the content, intensely in one semester.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. I was just wondering why we were doing like double period for college English and for history, because I know when I was in middle school, we used to have like block periods of usually English and math. We never really had block periods for history. And not and also, but now as an 11th grader, we're taking like college English. So I was just wondering why we had a block period for English and for history for us.
So there are some technical parts to that, Jana. In the middle school, high school requirements in New York State is different than the middle school. So we were kind of giving students extra ELA and math in the middle school, not as a requirement, more like having a solid base in the middle school. But in the high school, there's a specific requirements in terms of each course and the course time, like how much time is required so we can award you that specific credit. So again, we're kind of like using this online method, assuming that the afternoon sessions are used for that purposes, but it's not always the case. That's why we would like to solidify the afternoon sessions. So hopefully we can justify the credit that we give you in one semester. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Is there any other questions, feedback, comments?
Mr. Urso, I kind of have like an opinion, I guess, sort of like to take into consideration. I was wondering, like, the double periods, like, especially for English and history, like, I know personally, like, I don't have any work that I need to make up, or like, my grades are really good. I feel like the students that have grades like above a certain point or average should not have to attend those double periods, because our teachers kind of told us those are going to be like study halls in a way, and I feel like that's not really necessary for students who have all their work completed and grades that are really good.
Anyone would like to pick up this question? I'll be more than happy to answer too.
Well, the teachers are going to have discretion of what to do during their extra periods, just like they do during their regular class time. But the thought process was really like last semester, any of the classes like English 11 that you had first in the morning, you would have a 45-minute live session and then 45 minutes of asynchronous work in the afternoon. So what this is going to take place of is 45 minutes of the asynchronous work, so you can work with the teacher on the work. They can explain projects or assignments to you. They could use it as additional class time too. So they can teach things, like normally we'd be going to school 5 days a week, but now we're only in school, you're going 4 days a week. So this would be time that they can add additional course material that they would normally cover during the school year in. So I think you might see the teachers will, really use that in a good way, and it'll help you with additional material in your classes.
And in addition to that, we also gave a very large flexibility in terms of how this afternoon period can be used. And again, if, like you said, Erna, you complete all of your work and your teacher approves that, you don't really need to do much. After the attendance, your teacher could also send you on your way or just work on some other materials, although we do not recommend this for every student. But again, I think that flexibility is going to help your teachers for the afternoon sessions to use it for students who need it, or if you happen to need it for certain days or weeks, you could certainly take advantage of that too. But once again, your teacher have a really great flexibility to use that afternoon period. Just check with your teacher and you will see what I'm talking about.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, any other questions? Hello, Miss Amber. I think this is a parent. Mr. Wagner, Mrs. Greider, Ms. Wanka, do you have anything else to add before we end the session? Good. Okay. Well, if you don't have any other questions, thank you very much for joining us, in the middle of the day. And hopefully this is a good session and answer your questions. And we're going to also post it on our social media. Anybody who couldn't make it, they can also watch and hopefully find an answer for their questions. Thank you so much again. Have a nice afternoon and stay safe and warm.
Thank you, and you do the same.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Mr. Urso, you're staying for the cabinet meeting, right?
Correct. Yep,
Okay.
I am.
We'll just use your link. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Have a great
Bye.
day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
And
There's Aiden.
do you know who Jessica Amber? She's not one of the National Honor Society, right?
No.
Cliff is joining in. Do you have any questions, Miss Amber? I'm going to have to remove you from this link because we have another meeting. Okay. I take it as a yes.
Jana and Erna, I just want to say good questions. It was nice of you to pop up like that and give a student voice to that forum. So nice job.